Pepsi, the story of the forever number 2, who suddenly became that guy when it comes to potato chips? What? I'll start with the financials, then I'll move on to an overview of what they actually do, and finally some key factors that could affect their future. By the way, almost all this is from their annual report, which is a 100+ page document, and I know that you're not going to read it, so Merry Christmas. Revenue at the start was boring, pretty stable, and almost never increasing. But then, everyone's favorite event that caused everyone to go outside, socialize, and meet new people happened. Then revenue started to grow exponentially. And you guessed it, the cause of that was inflation. They divide their revenue with a mix of category and geography. They merged with Frito-Lay a long time ago, and under their chip umbrella, they owned, get this, Lay's, Fritos, Sun Chips, Ruffles, Tostitos, Cheetos, and even Miss Vicky's. And get this, the OG Doritos. I want to take this moment to give them the proper respect for making sweet chili heat. That is the only chip flavor that I'll allow for the number 1 spot. The potato chip industry is expected to grow at 2 to 5% annually. There isn't much competition, the barriers to entry are pretty high, and they own most of the shelf, so they're in a pretty good position there. I also expect the amount of air in those bags to rise by around 2 to 5% annually, and by 2050, it'll be like 92% air. Just watch. Next segment, beverages. They own Pepsi. Who could have guessed that? They recently fell to 3rd place behind Dr. Pepper, at least in the US, and let's have a moment of silence for them. They also own Mountain Dew, Bubbly, which is absolutely disgusting, Gatorade, which is the GOAT, Aquafina, Propane, Propel, and if we're including the ones they have rights or licenses to, they have Dole, Ocean Spray, these Starbucks drinks here, which I absolutely love, Lipton, and some brands under the Keurig Dr. Pepper umbrella. They've also just dipped their toes into alcohol with their hard Mountain Dew. This could become something because seltzers are becoming way more popular. The non-alcoholic beverage industry is expected to grow by a whopping 5 to 12% every single year. The world is getting richer and richer quickly. There are also some new entrants though, for example Prime in the US and some other locations, and you should expect some new competition from the Asian continent. I do want to mention something about the percentages. These are bets, estimates, predictions. I can't see the future and neither can anyone else. So take a big pile of salt, add it, and have like 2 scoops. Quaker Foods. What? Did you think you're done? They also have the Pearl Milling Company and Quaker Oats and all these brands here. Back to revenue, Pepsi Beverages in North America is the biggest chunk of the pie. But surprisingly, once you subtract all the operating expenses, it isn't. That does make sense, because while 1 can isn't that heavy, a truckload of cans weighs a lot. But you know what is not that heavy? Bags with 90% air. The North American Frito-Lay segment has slightly less revenue, but is 2.6 times more profitable. The US is 52 out of their $91 billion of the revenue. So they're very US heavy, but there's a lot of growth internationally. And the thing is, I don't really know how much growth is left in the US at least. By the way, all the categories are combined for all of these geographic regions here. For example, Europe's 13 billion is Frito-Lay, Quaker, and also the Pepsi beverages all combined into one. If you guys do want to see the revenue distributions, well, Merry Christmas. Pepsi's net income tells a very interesting story. No, it does not. That 2018 little bump up is because some tax benefits spread out over 15 years. Their CEO, Ramon Laguarta's pay is $26, $28, and $35 million a year. I just feel obligated to mention how much you're paying your top executive. To compare them to their competition, I chose Coke for drinks and Kellanova, because they own Pringles, Eggo Waffles, and also Kellogg's. Stock performance wise, Pepsi is very stable. And if you're wondering why the S&P 500 index is so far ahead, do realize that there are a few companies who are doing a big bulk of the heavy lifting. And as for Keurig Dr. Pepper, they paid a $100 dividend right around there, so just know that. If we're going to include dividends, the returns in order are S&P at 175%, Pepsi at 90%, Coke at 81%, Keurig Dr. Pepper at 55%, and Kellanova at -3. Guys, just know that their past returns say nothing about their future returns. You are now entering the danger zone. There's an even higher risk of falling asleep, so please clear the area of any hazards you might find around you. Last warning. There has not really been any insider buying over at Pepsi, but also to be fair though, they are getting paid in stock, so they have to sell to get cash. They have a dividend of $5 or a little over 3%. Compare that with Coke's 2.9% and you can see a little difference. Although to be fair though, these numbers are probably not going to be the same when you see it, because I'm writing this and then I have to edit this and then or film this, then edit this, and then publish it while you have to view it now or whenever in the future. So just be aware of that. It could be different. At the time that I'm recording this, they have a slightly higher dividend, and Pepsi's PE ratio is 25, while Coke is at 27. And just for reference, by the way, Kellanova is at 22, and so is Keurig Dr. Pepper. And again, I'm not going to repeat this, but some of the information here is not going to be the same when you see it. Now let's do a little SWOT analysis, starting off with strengths. When it comes to chips, they're the GOAT. Their position is cemented, and they are that guy. They're a strong contender in the soda games. That's probably how they got the Starbucks partnership, and they also used to own Tropicana and all these brands over here. They did sell those, but they own 39% of that company, and they have the exclusive rights in the USA. Pepsi is strong, poised, and ready to grow in an instant if something happens. Also, they're strongly concentrated in the USA, which is a very strong economy, arguably at first. Weaknesses wise, this is my personal opinion, but I feel like their offerings are just weaker than Coke's, except for Crush, which they don't even own. They also have some water and environmental controversies, and they are outsold pretty much everywhere in the world by Coke. Opportunities, healthier drinks. People are becoming more conscious of health, so if you can make a drink that is healthy, tastes good, and for pretty cheap, people are probably gonna buy it. On the flip side, maybe they can get some alcoholic beverages, like, Hard Crush. I would definitely try it at least. Threats wise, they may lose their family-friendly status if they enter the alcoholic beverage industry. Also, I've never tried it, but I've heard that the alcoholic Mountain Dew doesn't exactly taste good, so maybe they should try to reformulate that. Maybe vodka infused? Pollution. The organization Break Free from Plastic found that Pepsi is responsible for 5% of the entire world's branded plastic. 5% of the entire world's branded plastic. 5% of the entire world's branded plastic. Pepsi has a firm grip on the chip market. They are also established, but not as dominant when it comes to drinks, both of which have high barriers to entry. Anyway, guys, if you found this video good, well, hey, please like it. It really does help out a lot. Like and sub if you want. And anyway, if you guys want investment advice, don't look at me. Talk to an actual financial professional, or visit a guide like the SEC's Guide to Investing and Saving. And anyway, guys, goodbye, people.